Well, we're back right here in the studio, and we have with us right now His Excellency Mr. Trịnh Minh Mạnh, who is the Ambassador of Vietnam to the State of Kuwait. Mr. Ambassador, welcome to our program, Hala Kuwait.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me again.
We're nice to have you with us right here on the program. And Mr. Ambassador, the coronavirus is affecting the whole world. How do you, in your opinion, Mr. Ambassador, evaluate the cooperation of the world to confront this virus, please?
Thank you. Of course, we are living in a very difficult and unprecedented time. The world cooperation, I think, is going up. We're seeing more and more efforts. It might not be as much as we hoped, but it is growing. We see international efforts to fight against the common enemy of the coronavirus. We see the role played by the World Health Organization. We see the role played by major powers, including the G20, which met recently online. They met online recently.
That's the status now. You have to do things online. With modern technology, we can do that.
That's right. Teleconferencing. We have to emphasize the role, very big role played by the chair, the president of G20, which is Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Saudi Arabia convened the first ever meeting of G20 of major powers to fight against this coronavirus, and G20 agreed on the $5 trillion for the economy as a result of the coronavirus impact. We also see regional efforts. For example, here in GCC region, I know that Kuwait is working closely with neighboring countries to share experience, share best practices, and also even share resources to fight against this common enemy. Same with my region, Southeast Asia, ASEAN, which is now Vietnam is the chair, is also working very hard to share knowledge and to share resources to fight against this enemy. In particular, I see the very active role played by Kuwait, who has contributed $40 million for the World Health Organization in this fight. And in other regions as well, we see growing efforts, but as the pandemic is wreaking more havoc, wreaking more impact on the world economy, I think many people wish we would have more international cooperation on this fight.
Yeah, everyone needs to come together to combat this pandemic, which is a coronavirus. And I know, Your Excellency, in your country, a lot of efforts are being made to bring the curve down. You've done some nice videos about hand washing, always emphasizing social distancing. A lot of international press have written about your country and the efforts that are ongoing. Maybe you could elaborate a little bit more to our audience about that, please.
Yes, thank you for this question. To put Vietnam's efforts in perspective, we have to imagine Vietnam's location, which is neighboring China. Vietnam is just about 10,000 kilometers away from the outbreak from Wuhan, which is where the epidemic broke out.
The capital of Hubei province.
Yes, so we have more than 1,100 kilometers of border with China, and we close to the epicenter. But so far, to date, we have only 179 cases of coronavirus and no death yet. For this, you can see how much efforts we have put on the fight against this virus.
Yeah, tell us about some of those efforts.
We have been praised by international organizations, including WHO, including the media, international media like Financial Times, like the Deutsche Welle. They have written very good articles about Vietnam's efforts, and they emphasize Vietnam's strategy, like a low-cost strategy with strong leadership. Why they say so? Based on the number of tests Vietnam have been able to carry out. Compare that with the number of tests carried out by South Korea to see the difference, to see our strategy as low cost. The fact is we are limited in our resources compared to other stronger economies like South Korea. So we have to turn to our own strategy. focusing more on strong quarantine measures, focusing on rigorous.
And public awareness is really good.
Public awareness is just part of it, but before public awareness, we do very strong tracing those who are in contact with affected people. We do the tracing to not just the first level, the second level, but also the third and the fourth level of contacts.
Okay.
To identify those who have potential to be infected. So that's why we've been able to flatten the curve as it is now. And as you mentioned, of course, public education, awareness raising is a strong part of our efforts. And the Ministry of Health of Vietnam, right from the beginning, put a lot of efforts on raising the public awareness on how to fight this virus just by washing our hands, which is very strongly recommended by the World Health Organization. You know, this song is composed by a Vietnamese songwriter at the request of the Ministry of Health of Vietnam. But after the song, you know, was introduced, what's interesting is...
And we'll be taking a look at that now. We'll have an insert of that.
Yep, let's have a look at the song.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Ambassador.
Okay, you can see there, the song is like a cartoon, you know, raising public awareness on how to prevent the spread by washing our hands properly. The name of the song is Jealousy COVID. It is used from a available song which was very popular in Vietnam, and the composer just write the new lyrics to it. But what's important is, after the song is introduced, a very famous dancer of Vietnam, he introduced the dance going to the lyrics of the song, and he also introduced the dance on TikTok to challenge people to imitate, to follow the dance.
Well, that's
and
great.
Now if you Google, you go to YouTube, you just type hands washing dance challenge. You can see millions and millions of people have followed the challenge, have taken the challenge to dance along with him, along with the dancer of Vietnam. And his dance has also been taken on the shows of HBO last night, and also goes on CNN and CNBC and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's been getting a lot of airplay, and I know you're doing a great job, your country, with many different efforts. Mr. Ambassador, how do you rate the efforts, and how do you see the efforts right here in the state of Kuwait to combat the coronavirus, please?
Wow, I'm very impressed with the efforts, with what have been done by the Kuwaiti government. Being here in Kuwait, I think I am and we are lucky, because Kuwaiti's government has taken very early and very strong measures. As I follow what's taken by Kuwait and I follow other countries, most of the countries in the region and the world, they take the measures after Kuwait did. So we feel very impressed and we feel very secure because of what the government here has done. For example, the closing down of borders, the closing down of restaurants and all the public areas, even golf courses, which is allowed in other countries. The Kuwaitis place a lot of importance on the health of the community, of the public, because with those measures taken, you have to suffer the economic losses. You have to sacrifice economic interests. That's why we see the efforts here are very strong, very early, and followed by other countries afterwards. Very impressive.
Good to hear that, Mr. Ambassador. And what advice now do you have for the people, your community here, right here in the state of Kuwait, the Vietnamese community? What would you like to tell them, Your Excellency? Yeah,
I've been in communication with them very frequently, especially when the pandemic goes more scary. They came to us to ask questions and to express their worry. But I always tell them, you must feel lucky because you are in Kuwait. Kuwait has the highest percentage of tests done in its population compared to other countries. Kuwait is on top number 1, UAE I think number 2, and Bahrain number 3. So I tell my community, you feel lucky. You must feel lucky because you are here. And in case, God forbid, you infected, all your treatment is taken care by the government. So you have to, I tell them, you have to follow all the instructions and guidance of the government very strictly. That is for your own interest. So stay home at this moment. Stay home, and stay home is to help. Help yourself and help the community.
And maybe in the Vietnamese language, would you say a few words to your people out there, please?
Yes, đối với các bạn Việt Nam đang sinh sống và làm việc tại Kuwait, tôi xin chuyển lời với các bạn rằng trong cơn đại dịch này, các bạn hãy tin tưởng ở chính phủ Kuwait. Chính phủ đã dành rất nhiều nguồn lực và các biện pháp mạnh để ngăn dịch. Và trong thời điểm hiện nay thì điều quan trọng là các bạn phải tuân thủ tuyệt đối những hướng dẫn, chỉ dẫn của chính phủ Kuwait. Hãy ở trong nhà để giúp bản thân chúng ta và giúp cho chính phủ cùng nhau dập dịch.
Very nice, Mr. Ambassador, and we appreciate your time. Any last comments for the audience watching right now, sir?
Well, to all the public, to all the friends of Kuwait, this is a difficult time for all of us. We have to confine ourselves in homes, and we cannot meet our friends, cannot go out a lot, but this is the time we have to share the burden, we have to share the fight with the government. Please stay home, stay safe and stay healthy, do exercise and learn the COVID dance, the washing hand dance challenge.
All right.
Organized, orchestrated by Vietnamese artists.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, and we appreciate your time with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.